Hey guys, it's your boy Micah's right here coming to you to your screen. And while it is currently 17, 16 days, 17 by the time you guys see this, days after the fact, we're still going to talk about it. I have been legally Marcus Preston Mitchell for 4 years now. For the first, let's go back. Okay, let's go back in time to 2015. When I first came out, the name that I chose was Max. And a lot of people ask me why my name's Marcus and not Max, because that's, what I first came out as. Well, there are a lot of reasons, but the main one was I just didn't feel like it fit me. As I kind of, started realizing, who I really was and trying to fit into my own skin, I realized that Max really wasn't it. A smaller reason was I, helped my aunt sometimes do like dog walking, and because that was her business, so I'd go with her, and her dog, still has him. Her dog, his name is Max. So whenever she said Max come, my brain was like, Max? What? Well, lo and behold, it's not the greatest name for a person, but for me at least, like other people, it probably fits you, but for me, not really. So a couple months later, I, was trying out a little different names, not like publicly, but, to myself. What was it? It was Cody, I think. Cole, began with a C. And then there was Marcus, and then it was just Max, because, yeah. Or Preston. Preston was one of the ones that, I really thought about for my first name. But realized that didn't really want that as my first name, but more like my middle name. Not because I didn't want it on the forefront, but just because I didn't feel like it fit me, and that's okay. But, a couple months went by, and Marcus just really started to stick. I also asked, my best friend Ollie, kind of her opinion, and just, really getting the gist of things. And she too agreed that Marcus fit me better than Max or Kobe or whatever the hell name I chose in addition. And from the start, I had my middle name picked out, from the start. And that was going to be Preston. So Preston was my uncle's middle name as well. And Matthew Preston Shane. So I felt like, and he was a huge influence on my life growing up. He was my dad, basically, because mine just kind of deserted me. So he was my dad. He was my mentor. He helped my mom raise me. So, and I loved this man, okay? I still do. Even though he passed away earlier this year, it still, I don't want to say haunts me, but it still kind of gets to me every once in a while. And, y'all will probably hear that for the next year. But so I wanted some way to honor him. And so I chose Preston as my middle name. And then, it all kind of came together as Marcus Preston. Just kind of flowed, and I identified with Marcus more than I identified with Max. And then, my last name's the same. But I remember going to the courthouse to get the starting of the name change papers. And we started that process in, I believe it was March or April of 2016. and actually it had to be after April. So it was because me and my ex got together, and he's the one who introduced me to that stuff, like where to go, how to do it, all of that. So it was probably like late April, early to mid May. And so me and my mom went to the courthouse, and we paid for the papers and to like bring home and sign and complete and all that. And then we also had to get a couple letters saying this is who Marcus really is. He's been living out as this name for how many years, whatever. And the thing about my mom is she wouldn't let me change my name until I was a year out, a year or more out and living as myself, or living as the name that I chose at least. And I had chosen Marcus around, I want to say like September, something like that. So, it wasn't really a year, but for her, I kept begging, and she started to see me grow, and really get into my own skin with Marcus, and just flourish. And so, we went ahead and did it. And we had some bumps with the paperwork. We had to send it out to my dad, who I really hadn't had contact with in years. And he didn't really know I was going to change my name, but he signed off on it. He called us, and he was like, "What's this?" And I had to explain to him, trans, and this is the name that this is who I am. This isn't just a nickname. This is who I am. And he was like, "All right, whatever," and signed it and faxed it back. And a couple days later, we went to the courthouse again to pass in the paperwork. And I remember that it was in the middle of fucking summer. I think it was like June or July. It was around there. And we went in, passed the paperwork in, and I remember being at Ken's. Now, Ken's is a seafood place in Old Orchard Beach, Maine. It's not quite an Old Orchard, but it's near it. It's close enough. And I remember being at Ken's with my grandmother, with my nanu, and my mom calling me and texting me. I ignored her phone call because I was out to lunch with my grandmother. We were on a road trip. We were going to the beach. And she called me again. Declined. She texted me a picture. She said, "Guess what came?" And I called her so fast. I said, "Open it. I don't care that it's addressed to me. Open it." So she opened it, and she was like, "Oh my God." Like, I'll never forget, like, the breath she took. Like, I gotta imagine that it's gotta hurt to her, or it did, a little bit, that she was really, the name that she chose for me wasn't gonna be my name. It really hadn't been my name. And I think this was like the end of the rope, like the end of, not the rope, but like the end of the road for her in raising, or in her hopes to raise a little girl, because I wasn't a little girl anymore. I wasn't just a tomboy. I was a guy. I was a boy, and I am a boy. And she was like, November 1st, 2016, which was just a few months away. She said, November 1st, and there you go. And I remember hanging up and just being so happy. And I remember the waiter or not the waiter, but the person at the counter at Ken's saying, "Here's your clams," because that's all I got. I got steamers. And I said, "I am so happy right now." And I remember he gave me an extra side of, not a lot, but a little bit of fries. And their fries are the best, drenched in vinegar. And and it was so relieving, and it was really happening. And I remember as it got closer to November, I was scared and nervous, and you know, a lot of my family was trying to convince me to not change my name. Because what if I didn't like it? What if I changed my mind again? What if I really wasn't trans? But I knew who I was, and it felt like nobody else believed me. And so I had to kind of build my trust with myself. And that's when I knew that, I'm really in it by myself. And I learned to live like that. And even though people have come and gone and come, I still have the mentality of I'm in it for myself, not for anybody else. I am bettering myself for me, not anybody else. And that's the way it's always going to be. November 1st came, and, I got my nice button down and a bow tie that I wore a purple button down shirt. I actually have it in my closet. And a black, gray, and white striped bow tie. Sure, that goes. Then I wore black jeans and black work boots. And I remember sitting there and just so nervous and so anxious. Like, what if the judge, all that was going through my head was, what if the judge denies my name change after he hears what I have to say? What if this judge is a conservative and is against trans people? Those are things that it popped in my head, and it was just reoccurring. And then when they called my name, the case and all that, we went in, and I sat down out front, right here with my mom, and it was nothing. It was like a normal conversation, like, hey, you want to change your name? Sweet, whatever, bye. And I remember stepping out of that courthouse, even just stepping out of the room, and just crying. I was finally me, and I didn't have to have a substitute teacher continue to call me by my dead name. It was legal, and there was documentation for it, so there was no reason to call me anything else. And there still isn't. It's just, but that's the story of that. That's the story of how I got my name changed, and the story behind my first and middle name. It's been 4 years, and I've been out for 5.5, so it's crazy. I've been on testosterone for 1.5 years, almost 2 years, and it's so surreal that this is where I am. I'm happy, and the next step is getting my gender marker changed, and I'm not really sure how to do that in Florida, but I'm putting my feelers out everywhere that I can. And yeah, so that's it for now, guys. I just wanted to share my happiness and share my mind with you. So thank you, because I know that you guys were there with me. Thank you if you've stayed for this long. Thank you for being here and watching my journey. And if you're just starting to watch me, thank you. Definitely try and watch the older videos. Maybe not the ones from 2013, but definitely, definitely on, you're good. The workout videos are kind of dull, but you get there. We all grow in our different ways. So thank you guys, and I love you all. Peace, love, and happiness. Stay true, stay you, and never forget that